folks joining as well. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. We have quite a bit of content to get through, and I want to make sure that our product team has enough time to get through. I am not the person who's going to be talking most of the time, but I am here to do some housekeeping, and I'll pass it over to Amisha in just a little bit to get the conversation moving forward. So welcome everyone to the Product Insights Exchange. The Product Insights Exchange is a collaborative feedback event that we host with a small curated group of customers, yourselves who are here and have signed up, and our product team in order to get actionable insights to help make our product better and improve the roadmaps that we have. So we really appreciate the opportunity to hear from you. We like to focus our product insights exchange on particular subject matter. We know our platform and our product is quite dense. And so today we're going to be talking about the elements of agent workflows. I say that now because I just want to make sure that if folks have other things that they want to discuss, certainly understand how exciting it is to be in front of our product team, but we'll want to keep it focused on the feedback discussion provided. We'll look at the agenda a little bit here. We will be looking at a demo of Copilot. We'll be talking about some feedback that we've previously heard from customers, and then we'll be talking about some upcoming features and our roadmap items, and then we'll be having an open discussion and a Q&A. Okay, so what does this mean? It means that this is an interactive event. You may have been to events at Zendesk or at other companies where they want to hear from you just in the chat, or maybe they send you a survey afterwards. We want it all. So when we ask for your feedback, please get off camera. There is, I'll show you in your screen where you can find a way to raise your hand on the bottom right of your screen, right next to leave. Don't leave. There's 3 dots that say more. If you click on that, you can raise your hand. We'll be moderating the discussion. So if you have things you'd like to say, please raise your hand. We'd love to hear from you. These events are only successful if we have the live feedback and discussion in the room. So thank you in advance for participating. Now, if you'd like to engage with us in the chat as well, we have some awesome team members who are here to help you and can help answer questions as well. So we may lift them from the chat, but as you can see, your chat button is right to the right. If it's not enabled right now, you can find it on the bottom of your screen next to stop video and next to DMs. That's where your chat button will live. If you need any help during the event, please feel free to send myself or Brett Bowser, who's on the event as well, a DM. We'll be happy to help you with any technical issues or questions you may have that maybe aren't for the group. And before I pass it over to Amisha, I'm just going to go to the next slide and say that you're going to see a lot of information about Zendesk products. And we appreciate your understanding that we are working and we are constantly in process. And so anything that you see today or engage with today may not necessarily show up in the features that get shipped to you at some point, but we want to make sure that we acknowledge that at the beginning. So with that, I know we have a lot to get through. Amisha, I'll pass it over to you. Thank you so much for being here. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Shauna. What a great opening.
Yeah, absolutely. We can go ahead and take it to the next slide and move us forward.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I am Amisha. I'm a senior product manager with the Agent Workspace teams. I primarily own the Composer and the Conversation Log. That's what we call a reading and writing experience. And today I have a lot of ground to cover. I want to start with Copilot demo and then move on to everything Shauna talked about in the initial few slides. So with that, let's kick off. This is the team. So say hello to the team. You will hear from most of these during the session. Zach, who's our senior product manager, covers Agent Home. Rachna, who's our group product manager. Lucy is our lead designer. And then Samir is our product manager. And then Claire, who's our engineering manager. So just wanted to quickly introduce our team just so that you know who you're hearing from. All right, I'm going to move on to the next slide and just going to demo Copilot just because I want to set the context for the next few slides. So I want to show what we are offering in Agent Copilot today. With that, going to share my test account. All right. So, if you have in Copilot, one of our flagship features, which I want to talk about first, is Auto Assist. Auto Assist is our way of assisting agents when they are resolving a ticket. So, if you use Auto Assist, you go to Settings first, where you can see a section dedicated to Copilot, and then Auto Assist. In here, you turn this on. You make sure you're giving access to certain groups or certain brands. And then this is where you create procedures. When you click on Manage Procedures, you land on something like this, which is a free text area where you can write in plain language what you want a procedure to do. So procedure is nothing but a set of instructions for the AI to follow for particular type of tickets. So let's say your ticket intent type is product return request. Then what are the steps that you want AI to follow in order to resolve a product return request? You specify that in plain language. And when you publish this particular procedure, it'll go live. So what that means is that going to the ticket experience, let's say you have created a procedure, your agents land on agent home. They will see this particular section dedicated to auto assist, and they will see what the agent needs to do on these kind of tickets where auto assist is on. So you can see certain tags like review suggestions, waiting for reply. This is a way for agents to quickly understand that, okay, this is what is required from me on this particular ticket where auto assist is on. I want to quickly show you how auto assist looks like. So this is a ticket, example ticket, where the intent is returns. So remember the procedure you just created where in plain language you wrote what you want the steps to be if the customer asks for return. What auto assist is doing is basically going through your steps and recommending suggestions to agents. So all the agent now needs to do is basically review what auto assist is suggesting as a response to be, review that response. Agents can choose to edit this. So, make changes, add certain words, remove certain things, click save, and then they can approve. Once they click on approve, this message will be sent. Agents can also choose to just simply approve if they review the suggestion and they decide that the suggestion makes sense. Another thing which I want to call out is that auto assist, we are constantly improving the brain of auto assist. So what I mean by that is we have recently released an enhancement where auto assist is now even taking into account knowledge articles. So if you don't have any business procedure set up, we take a look at your knowledge articles and suggest your response from there. So there's also ways to make auto assist work without even setting procedures, but we do highly recommend setting business procedures because those give a streamlined set of instructions to AI to follow. We are also working on a couple of enhancements with auto assist where we are giving controls to admins to configure macros. So a lot of enhancements are being into auto assist, but please let me know on chat if you are using this feature today, how you feel about it. Is there any feedback that you want us to consider for future enhancements? Moving on to some other features within Copilot that I want to bring your attention to. So just opening this sample ticket, where this ticket has been created via email. We offer you certain information points in the ticket header that gives agents a quick view of what the ticket is about, so what the intent is, and what the customer sentiment is at the moment. We also give you a way to view the summary of the ticket in the ticket header. So this ticket is pretty short. Agents might not need a way to summarize this conversation. But let's take a look at this ticket where the summary is already generated. So there's an option to expand the summary. There's an option to refresh the summary, and you can also collapse the summary once you are done reading it, just to save some real estate. We have a way to offer macro suggestions. So if I turn off auto assist, we show you a nudge that there are 3 suggested macros for this particular ticket. And we also offer you the confidence levels for those macros, so you can choose if you want to apply those suggested macros or not. Few other features that we have recently released is related tickets. So let's take a look at this one. So for this, we have a couple of mode suggestions and we have a few similar resolved tickets as well. This is to give your agents a view into what are the tickets that are similar from the similar customer, and you should probably merge them. And the similarly resolved tickets are a view for your agents to see how a similar ticket was resolved in the past and maybe take inspiration from that if they're struggling resolving the current one. As I'm walking through all of these features, I am very interested to understand from you how you feel about these features. If you have any feedback, please feel free to drop them in the chat. With that, I am going to switch back to the deck. And I'm going to pause here a little bit just to see if anybody has any questions on what I just showed them, or if they have any feedback on all the features that are available today in Copilot. Sorry, Shauna, I cut you off. Were you saying something?
Oh, no, not at all. I just wanted to lift what was in the chat. Thanks for asking. I saw that Chris also made a comment. We've been playing with the auto assist. Is there a plan to include it in live voice?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do have an offering where we are going to bring in some capabilities for voice. So while I can't really share like direct plans into if auto assist is going to be integrated with voice or not, but there are AI for voice capabilities that are coming up very soon.
Awesome.
Oh, that's awesome, Rasha. Thank you. Please do let us know how the testing goes with your agents, and if there's anything that we can support you with, we would be very happy to. All right, so let's move on. This slide basically talks about what we have heard from you. So we sent you a Google form to fill out before this session. That form basically asked you what your feedback is on the current Copilot features. So this slide basically summarizes everything we have heard so far. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we are planning to address this. So the first thing that we are hearing from you is on summary, that you need more details in the summary to include all the relevant information from the ticket. You need automatic generation of summaries, automatic refreshes. You want the summary to consider internal notes. Today, it only considers public responses. You want the ability to edit the summary, add the summary to the log for documentation purposes. So I'm going to pause for summary a little bit and just open it up for discussion. Is there anything else that you think we do not, account for when we summarize conversations today? Is there anything else you would want us to consider when we are improving summaries? You can unmute yourself. You can put it on chat. Anything that works for you. Seems like we covered everything in summary. I will move on to the next one, but please do let me know. Okay, I see some responses. I personally feel summaries work very well to the point. That's awesome, Rasha. That is very great to hear. Allison, could you have the option to include internal notes? Sometimes we'll have light agents raise tickets to our support team, and those come in as internal notes. Yes. So, Allison, this one is very much on our radar. A lot of customers have asked for including internal notes and summaries. So, this is definitely which is on or on our roadmap. Chris, good thought. This would be helpful for us as well. Awesome. Summarize internal notes, but separately. Yes, that is definitely something we've been hearing too, that they would want to essentially have two summaries, one that summarizes public replies and one that summarizes internal notes. Great. Awesome. All right. So the next thing that we're hearing about is translations. So we provide translations feature today that covers certain channels, certain inbound channels, and some channels just for outbound. But we are hearing that you would want support for outbound email translations, and you would want us to translate the AI suggestions, because today AI suggestions are generated in end users language and you would want them to be translated to agents language. So, good news, these two things are on our roadmap for this year, and we're hoping to deliver that in Q3. But I would love to understand if there is any feedback that you have on the translations feature that you're using today, anything else that you think we should consider here.
If you want to raise your hand or put it in the chat, we'll be happy to lift it up for you. This is a great opportunity to directly influence the people who are building the products that you're using.
Right now, translations is only available in English. So, Emerson, we cover a wide range of languages today. We offer translations back and forth between multiple combinations of languages. It's available on inbound and outbound messaging and also inbound email. Yeah, you're welcome. All right. While you put in more feedback, I know we have limited time, so I'll move on to the next. For auto assist, especially, we are hearing that you would want the ability to add macros to procedures, and auto assist should consider them when they're suggesting responses. You would want the ability to edit the auto assist suggestions in rich text, let your agents add attachments, images when they're editing auto assist suggestions. So this is all great feedback. And yeah, please do add in the chat if there's anything else that you want to be able to do in auto assist or want auto assist to do that is not mentioned here. Next up, we have enhanced writing settings. So we're hearing from a lot of you that you would want group level permissions for the AI tools that we offer. And that is primarily so that you can roll those out in a more uh, conservative manner, because you don't want to roll out every single AI tool to everybody on your instance. So this is something on our radar that we should be offering group level permissions for the AI tools that are out there today. Please post your feedback if there's anything that you want us to consider with group level permissions. Chris, we do a lot of product troubleshooting that is somewhat complex, having issues getting auto assist to pivot as more info is gathered. Would love suggestions on how to write procedures that help with that. This is a great question, Chris, and probably something that we would love to work with you one-on-one on, just because we'd love to see how complex your tickets are and how auto assist is performing today, and if there's any way that we can help it pivot a little bit better. So maybe I can reach out to you after this and we can set up some time with the procedure experts. Alison, give prompts to agents, not just automate outbound responses, meaning go to the system and check the status of their product. Then agents can approve or mark they, they did that, then go to the next steps. That's interesting. Alison, do you want to expand on that a little bit? Maybe you can do that on chat, or you can come on video and mute yourself too. Guided step-by-step approach to procedures with progress tracking. I think I heard this feedback a little bit ago. Is this more so about exposing the procedure in the UI so that the agents can see what procedure is being followed, and then they should have an ability to like pause it at any point or rerun it? Oh, I think Shauna Allison is trying to.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just saw. Brett, can I ask for your assistance? Sorry, folks, we're just gonna get us situated again.
Yep.
Thanks,
Yes.
Brett.
So, Allison, it looks like you might be having a browser issue with permissions when it comes to your mic and camera. So you might just have to leave and then rejoin. And then if you see the pop-up in your browser of like enable camera and all that stuff. Oh, I think we saw it.
Hello.
Awesome. Hey, Allison, thanks so much.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think Rasha kind of talked about that too. Basically, yeah, giving our agents, I love the auto response that it does, or the suggested response. Would love to see it also give some prompts to agents on steps that they should be taking too. So I don't know if that's on the roadmap or even possible.
Yeah, that is definitely a great idea, and I know something that we are currently looking into. Do you think you can give me an example of maybe a kind of ticket where this would be helpful?
Sure. So I work for a telematics company, right? And so we'll provide, dash cameras to fleets. So, if a customer emails in and says my dash cam's not working, there's some diagnostics that our support agents can kind of run on the back end in our internal systems. So we would love the ability for some of those procedures to include those steps as well as corresponding with the customer. So,
Mm-hmm.
customer, what light is blinking? Is it blue or orange? Okay, based on how they respond, the agent can go and look at, certain things, and we can prompt them to do that in the procedure. So really, like, for the L1 agents, like,
Mm-hmm.
more workflow steps. Does that make
That's
sense?
Yeah, that definitely makes
Okay.
sense. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's very, very helpful. Thank you. And I really appreciate you coming on camera and sharing that. Thank you. All right. So with that, let's move on to custom prompts. Um, Custom prompt is a recent feature where we let agents write their own prompt in terms of how they want to enhance their writing. And we are hearing from you that they have to type their custom prompt every single time. So there should be an ability to save those custom prompts. So that's definitely something which is on our radar right now. And then auto assist procedures, that's just something I just shared, something which I've been hearing from customers that, bring them to the UI, should be visible to the agents. They should know which procedure is running, at which step the AI is on, and so on. So basically giving more visibility to agents into procedures. All right. Um, okay, let's move on. So just want to quickly talk about upcoming releases and upcoming features that we have on our roadmap. Again, some of these things might make it to, you know, we might ship some of these things this year, or some of these things could get deprioritized as well. These are just things we currently are doing discovery on. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there. But the first feature I want to talk about is multilingual support in Agent Workspace. There are a couple of things we are changing in terms of the UX. So trying to sort of make the UI a little bit less cluttered. So moving to an icon form instead of showing a link, see original for each and every message. That's number one change. Second is changing the send in Korean icon. Uh, the icon initially said send, but we're changing it to send in Korean so that it's very clear that the outbound message will also be translated. So for this one, I just want to hear from you if anybody in this room is using translations today, what's their feedback, and based on what I just shared about our plans, that we are making these minor UX tweaks and also extending the translations functionality to outbound email and OAI suggestions. Does this plan meet your expectation? Are there any other use cases that you'd like us to consider? Sounds great. All right.
By a show of hands or confirmation in the chat, sorry, Misha, to interrupt you. I'm just curious. Do folks have translations turned on at their companies? You can raise your hand. I won't call on you, I promise. Raise your hand or add something in the chat. Yes, I see. No, we have a yes. Okay. Gotcha. This is just helpful
Yeah.
data for us to get from this. Thank you very much. Sorry, Misha, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Shauna. No, that was very helpful. Thank you. Oh, you had to build a custom app, Allison. That's interesting. Oh, awesome. Great. So the next release that I want to talk about is spinning custom prompts. So this is how the enhanced writing toolbar looks today. This is something that we are kind of doing discovery on, trying to understand how this experience would look like. But primarily what is happening here is that you can write a custom prompt. Let's say you write translate to Korean, reformat as a summary. those prompts kind of appear in recent prompts, and you can pin them, and those would appear in the pinned prompts. So the idea here is to give agents more flexibility so that they can create their own prompts and they don't have to type a custom prompt every single time, or copy paste it from somewhere. I think I'm going to use what Shauna said. Maybe a yes on chat if you use custom prompts today. That would give me a better idea if folks in this room are using this feature.
While folks are writing that, Amisha, there was a question from Carrie in the chat regarding translations. Just curious if we want to answer it. Carrie says we do use translations, but are not using Copilot, and the agents complain it often fails to work. Would the service work more consistently if Copilot was in use?
So we are trying to offer this service even if Copilot was not in use. So this translations should work regardless if you're using Copilot or not. But can you share a little bit more, Carrie, on what you mean when you say that it often fails to work? Do you mean like the translation is inaccurate, or do you mean it just does not translate? So Elena, Rasha, you use custom prompts. Chris, you use custom prompts too. So can I ask you, do you think this ability to be able to save custom prompts and pin them, do you think this is something which your agents would like, and would that help them use this feature more? Awesome. That is good to know. All right. Okay, so Carrie, you're saying it does not translate. That is the feedback I get from agents. Okay, that is very interesting to know, because as part of extending the current translations feature, we are also looking into the feedback we're getting from customers on the quality of translations today, and kind of make a decision into how we would, or how we could improve that. So this is very helpful to know, Carrie. And maybe I can connect with you once we release this new one, and you can let me know if things have improved.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it seems to be hit or miss for them, and when they're really relying on it for it to just not work is pretty frustrating. But I think most of the time it works. But then I'm struggling to understand why it would just ever just not.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds very frustrating. Is that something that you have raised a ticket for, or have you reached out to customer support for that?
No, because these are in live conversations, and so typically they'd ask for ticket examples, and
Okay.
my agents just give me the general feedback that sometimes it doesn't work, and they don't always have ticket examples to share. So it's not something I've been able to pin down or document. Just the feedback I've gotten.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I would love to connect with you after this just to hear from you a little bit more and to work with you when we release the new one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Allison, would anyone be willing to share an example of a custom prompt you have? We don't use it, but interested to hear what's working for folks. That is a great question, Allison, and I would really urge everybody who's using custom prompt to share. Just something that we have been seeing on our end is that the most frequently prompts that customers are using is, fix grammar, make responses more empathetic, polite, translate is a very, very popular one. So these are the three which are very, very frequently used, but there are some less frequently used prompts too, which are very custom. So like make this response polite and then tell the customer that I will get back to them after 2 days, so like pretty custom ones too, but those are less frequent. But yeah, everybody else who's using it, please feel free to share. All right, I'm gonna move on to summary. So we are currently exploring how it would look like if we could maybe auto refresh summaries based on certain events that happen on a ticket lifecycle. So things like agent to agent handover. if we could auto refresh the summary and expand it so that you have a better view in terms of what the other agent did and how the conversation progressed so far before it was assigned to me. And then also ticket close, because we see a lot of agents putting in their summary notes before they close out a ticket. And then if there's a change in the intent type of a ticket, so initially that ticket was about refund but moved on to a different intent type, we auto generate the summary then as well. But yeah, I would love to hear from you how the summary of refreshing experience is for you today. If you would want that to be improved somehow, or is it working as you expect today? Yes, I use it to bulletize feedback to make it easier to consume. Oh, I think you mean custom prompt. Interesting. Any feedback on summary before we move on? Summaries for easy review of tickets. Yes, this is definitely a very, very popular one. Awesome. Awesome. Great. So I will move on to our next segment, which is feedback discussion on some of the non-AI things that we have been hearing from you. Oh, another question. Can summaries be sent through Slack? Yeah, that is something we have been hearing too. Not today, but definitely something that is interesting and customers have been bringing up. Before I start on the next segment, I just want to quickly check, is there anything else that you want to bring up in terms of the feature that we offer in Copilot today? Anything you would want to see, which you haven't mentioned so far? Allison, is that summary checkpoints going to be available in just chat or other channels too? So Allison, we were hoping, like we are kind of doing discovery on this right now, but we are not thinking this feature just for one channel. It would be for all channels where we take into account the specific workflows that go into each channel and kind of come to a like a prioritized list of event types which would benefit from a summary refresh. So for both chat and email, if a ticket gets handed over to another agent, if a ticket is closed, we kind of offer summaries. Elena, is there a way to give feedback on the article suggestions? Yes, I think you can go to the community forum and you can create a post. Our product managers monitor that all the time. And the product manager who owns article suggestions today would be very happy to engage with you and understand a little bit more about your feedback and consider that in their roadmap. So please do create a post on our community forum.
I'll go ahead and share that link in the chat with anyone who's interested, but thank you so much for asking.
Can AI eventually generate custom intents based on our ticket submissions instead of us manually entering them? So I am unfortunately not the intent expert, but I can definitely share your feature request with the product manager and I can check with them if this is something that is on their roadmap at the moment. But yeah, like for all of you who have these feature requests and certain feedbacks, it would be very helpful to create community posts because we use those very heavily in Zendesk and use them to even prioritize features on our roadmap. So please do that. All right, so I'm going to move on and I will kick off these discussions. So for this one, I would love to invite Zach, and we can just kick off this discussion. And Zach, go ahead if you have specific questions you want to ask.
Yeah, to start with, how are your teams adopting AI? Or do you have any specific challenges around driving adoption or having your agents, start up on using these capabilities?
Go ahead, Rasha.
Yes, hi. I guess we're all struggling with the same challenges in terms of adoption is never an easy thing, but definitely by showing them the way and celebrating some champions, identifying, some early adopters and getting them to speak about their experience and how it has benefited them as agents has helped converting other agents. Since we also track AI adoption within Zendesk, I was actually thinking of announcing it like a mini contest, distributing an Amazon gift card or something to somebody who's reached a certain, like I haven't really set it up, but that's an idea that recently came to mind to provide incentive to those competitive ones. But I would love to hear what others are using.
This is so interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is awesome that you're using this method to get them to adopt features. I just have a quick follow-up question, Rasha. Do you think that if we expose their usage metrics on AI features somewhere in the product, and we also tell them that, hey, this is the average usage of your team, maybe like that would trigger some, competitive.
Get them to own the metric, rather than it's like coming from the top and we're reporting. Because even when I was reporting on these metrics to the team, I wanted to be mindful and not putting anyone on the spot, right? Mm-hmm. So giving them, this visibility themselves.
Yeah.
Could certainly, like the gaming aspect of things, can also be like maybe badges and that it's embedded in the platform would be probably appreciated.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing this idea with us. Very exciting.
But I just have to say that it goes beyond Zendesk. Like adopting AI in our organization is an organizational reality, right? So thanks Zendesk for leading the way in terms of like the agent AI features.
Thank you. Oh, Elena, you thought about setting up an AI competition too. That is very exciting. Anybody else wants to share, not just like AI, but any, let's say, new feature that comes out of Zendesk, any new workflow? Like, how do you get your agents to adopt?
We oftentimes use a platform called Motivosity and award points. We don't use it for actual money. We use it for points for like company branded swag and things like that. But oftentimes we really struggle with getting our agents to use our knowledge base. And so I'll post something in the knowledge base that they'll have to find and comment on in order to get their points. And that tends to work pretty well for us.
Oh, that's awesome. So much competition. This is great. I love it. Thank you. Very creative. I agree.
How have the challenges around adoption of AI capabilities differed from adoption drives in the past? Are there any unique challenges you face or hesitations or concerns or even operational challenges that you're running into that are unique to adopting AI?
They're all afraid AI is going to take their jobs. So, that's a big roadblock.
I agree with Carrie. Like any change management is difficult, but in this case, they almost see it as a threat. And so I try to reassure them in a way that it is here. It's no longer a question. It's about how you're going to adapt now to this changing work reality. And you need to get on board, right? Because if you don't get on board, then yes, there's a higher risk of you losing a job, right? And I never want to link it to threat, but it's about embracing the future and future improving ourselves against the competition as well. Because if we don't do it, the competition is doing it, and we're losing our edge.
Thanks for sharing that. One of the great, opportunities in these roundtables and gathering together is being able to share leadership best practices around these adoption, challenges. And that's something that we hear commonly is, agents are afraid of this. So thank you for sharing that, Rasha. Anybody else have great tips on helping agents overcome that internal challenge or hesitation or fear?
Promoting that AI is being used to resolve the mundane day-to-day tasks so that we provide meaningful impact to our customers, ideally a career path where a L0 can move along to L1 to L2. Absolutely, very well said. All right, I am going to move on to the next one. So how might we present all the relevant information to resolve a ticket? We are hearing from a lot of you that it would be helpful to have all the relevant information to resolve a ticket, and you might not be seeing all that relevant information in the ticket today. So we want to understand, what information do you look at when you want to resolve tickets? What systems do you use to look up customer data? How many of those systems are integrated with Zendesk? And what do you think would be the ideal experience? So please come unmute yourself or put on chat, but would love to understand, where are the gaps today? What are the things that we are not showing you on a ticket and you do want us to show?
We commonly, one of the big drives for Zendesk naturally is to resolve that problem of swivel chair, right? Of agents between apps, internal systems, et cetera. And while there's a robust integration capability, and we're always building new integrations and wanting to equip you with more tools, it's something we continue to hear more feedback about as the number of tools available proliferates. So what's the latest challenge that you're running into for your team in terms of swivel chair, gaining context? We really want to minimize the amount of work you have to do to gather information so you can focus on that conversation.
Go ahead, Rasha.
Yeah, so often I feel that the limitations also come from the systems we use, right? Like I feel it's less a Zendesk problem, but it's more about how our other systems can report on relevant information to solve a ticket versus having to really investigate multiple systems. So it's more about the reality of what I see. I was reflecting about this. Because we're seeing how we can simplify how the data from other systems is pushed into Zendesk to allow for this resolution. So I didn't really provide an answer here, but just kind of to give you also a note of context on that. But I'm always thinking about how overwhelming the agent workspace could become, right? That's kind of the trade-off. Already we're adding a lot, there's a lot of things happening. I don't spend my day in the agent workspace because I lead multiple teams who do it, but putting myself in the shoes, I can appreciate how overwhelming that is, and maybe how reassuring for them it is to kind of pivot from one experience to another. So I'm just trying to kind of think out loud about that. And so I don't know if we are able to bring in relevant information, if you guys can bring some innovation to the user experience of the workspace. It's a bit dry. It serves the purpose, and I'm seeing the improvements that are being done, but maybe kind of pivot the question to that.
I love that. That is wonderful feedback. Thank you, Rasha. And that's a great opportunity for AI to shine as well, is in synthesizing this data that's being gathered and presenting what's relevant to the agent. And ultimately, that's where we're headed. Rasha, if I could ask a follow-up question, which is, if you can, would you share an example of an internal system that just doesn't get data out the way you need to? And with that concrete example, maybe we can think about ways to make that easier on the Zendesk side, if at all.
Sorry, it cut off, at least for me. So you were asking about information on an internal system that we would like to bring to Zendesk?
Mm-hmm. You mentioned in some cases it's not a Zendesk problem, but our systems don't get the data out the way we need to.
Yeah.
Is there a system you have in mind?
It's like our licensing system, for example, to check the validity of a product code or things like that. Like, for example, we're fully integrated with Salesforce and other systems that we have, but it's really specific to that, or because our licensing system requires us to go and check in two different places to really understand the full story, right? So it talks about just the complexity of how we're set up, and we're trying to modernize that side of the business. But yeah,
Thank you for sharing that.
yeah, but I like what Chris put there, and I agree. Like the whole UX and UI more revision of where things sit. And I don't know if you use any like kind of heat mapping UI tools to see kind of where are people going for in terms of their kind of first go to, yeah, or just focus groups of user focus groups to see. Today when you build a website or an e-commerce platform, there are best practices about where to put certain buttons where people are first draw to, and yeah, that's kind of the line of thought I was thinking about, improving where things live and sit to make it more seamless, and just modernizing a bit the look and feel.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rasha, and thank you, Chris.
All right. With that, we have 10 more minutes, so want to move on to the next. This is something that we've been hearing from a lot of you, and I want to invite Samir, who is one of the managers on Agent Workspace, and he owns macros. So we just want to understand a little bit more from you in terms of how do we make macros more favorable for you. I'm sure all of you use macros today. Are you using relevant and suggested macros? Are those helpful? How do you organize macros today? Are macros assigned to specific groups or made available to everyone? Share a little bit about your macros usage with us, just so that we understand a bit more how to make them more discoverable. And Samir, please go ahead and ask your specific questions if you have some.
Yeah, I think you covered the main bits, but specifically, what would be preventing your agents from using macros that you guys create, and just overall making macros a more integrated part of an agent's workflow? How could we do that? How have you been struggling with macro suggestions? Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. So I don't see any macro suggestions in our instance. We opened a support ticket a while back. I was even working on professional services, and I got a response yesterday that the problem should have been resolved, that the engineering team has been looking at it, and it was like a generalized issue, it seems, but on our end, it still doesn't work. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing those suggestions to benefit from them. So there seems to be a technical issue.
Yeah, well, thanks for letting us know. I'll definitely follow up with the team responsible for suggested macros and see if there's a way for us to fix that for you. Sorry about that.
No problem. But just to tell you about how our agents use macro suggestions, because I am encouraging them to use them more and more. And I realized some agents had macros sitting like outside of Zendesk, which kind of drove me crazy. So I tried to, that's why the macro suggestions were very important, to identify those macros that we could integrate. I think, again, it's a UI issue, and kind of where they're sitting, it's a bit awkward. I recently discovered that you could put a backslash and kind of start a macro, and I actually shared this with the agents who had no clue also about it. So it's the user experience kind of improvements that can be done to level up the adoption of them. But from an admin side, I think macros do a great job in being able to create macros and other, but it's more a user adoption problem.
I see. All right. Well, that's good to know, and it's good to know that you are using the shortcut to put those macros into each ticket. Glad to see that there's use out of the feature, but definitely something that we'll look into. Appreciate the feedback.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments or feedback for how their agents using macros or the macros feature in general?
There is a comment on the chat, Samir, by Chris.
Great. Okay. I see. Okay. And when you're saying that they're using by you categorize them by the response, are you creating folders within the macro menu so you see specific macros associated with each folder, or are they using potentially the top 3 relevant macros for each ticket? Could you go into a little bit more about where these macros sit in the menu?
Sure can. What we're doing is we're categorizing them and dividing them by the double colon. So, for example, for order entry, we have a number of different responses to a customer thanking them for their order. But my agents always seem to want to use the same one, which is, you know, it seems to be the one that comes up at the top. It's the most used. And I think that our customers are seeing that same message over and over again. And it would be nice to be able to give them a little bit more of a diverse when they type in order, or if it, we also have the feature, and I'm drawing a blank on the name, that autofills for us, and it always picks that same one. And they're just using that over and over. So our customers keep getting that same message. It would be nice to be a little more diverse and figure out a way to trigger that.
I see, I see. So they're searching for a macro in the menu, and then whatever top one appears is what they consistently use. So your customer gets the same message back each time.
Exactly.
I see. Okay, that's good feedback. And yeah, I think we can try and find a way to diversify which macros are being used. I appreciate that.
All right, since we have 4 more minutes, I quickly want to touch on one last question we had. So, how might we make um, multitasking easier? So, we just want to understand how many tabs are open simultaneously when your agents are working on tickets. How many tabs have you noticed them juggling between? What data is the most important on those tabs? What data you would like to see in tabs, which can help them prioritize? And how often do they usually switch between agent home, views, and tickets? It'll be very helpful to understand how multitasking looks like for your agents.
As we think about multitasking, one thing we hear pretty frequently is it's hard for me to pick the right tab. I'm switching too often between my tabs and my views page, or my tabs and agent home, for example. Or it's hard for me to understand which conversation needs my attention next when I'm using messaging. And we're really focusing on how to help agents have an easier time of that. So any thoughts or feedback you have on what's just not working, what's slowing me down right now, will be fantastic.
All right, looks like no collaboration or multitasking feedback at the moment, which is totally okay. Um, Oh, some started coming in. I see multiple agents on the same ticket tab, especially unassigned queue at the same time, and sometimes they work over each other. Interesting.
Gotcha. Yeah, super helpful. Agent collision, something we can continue to improve.
Mm-hmm. And then from Carrie, personally, the fact that everything opens a new browser tab is a bit overwhelming to me. I constantly have 100 plus browser tabs open because of this.
We definitely want to minimize
Yep.
tab overwhelm. That is a problem for me
And
personally
actually,
as well, Karen.
quick question there, because you mentioned the browser tab. So how are you opening these or how are you opening these tickets if they're opening the browser tab? Where are they coming?
Not necessarily tickets. Certainly ticket tabs are there as well, but I mean, anytime I'm going back and forth between the different Zendesk products, if I want to switch from support to the knowledge base, for example, it opens a new browser tab instead of staying in the same browser tab, and it's just, I mean, it could just be
an issue with my workflow, but it's just everything opening a new browser tab every time because and then I get an email notification about a ticket that's been escalated to me, and I open that from the email, and then it's yet another browser tab. It's just there's just so many. They just pile on and pile and pile on.
I gotcha. And then would you say that how often would you say you're going back to your email to then access any update related to Zendesk?
I mean, pretty often, because that's how my team alerts me to the fact that a ticket needs my attention. They tag me in the ticket, so I get the email notification and I open it from there. Oftentimes, because I'm working on a million other things, and I don't keep the workspace open prominently on my screen as much, just because I'm not always working on tickets.
I see. I gotcha. Awesome. Well, thanks for the feedback.
Awesome. We are at the top of the hour, which I know means that many folks have to go, including our wonderful group of presenters. I will start by saying thank you so much, everyone. Oops, my camera's not on. Hello, everyone. Again, Amisha, Samir, Zach, Rachna, all of our wonderful presenters and folks who are active in the chat. Thank you so much. To our guests who joined us today, thank you so much. Your feedback directly helps shape how we build our product here at Zendesk. This is a really awesome opportunity for folks to come in and have an impact on what we're building based off of your own personal experiences. So thank you for sharing, for being active in the chat. A few last things of housekeeping. There is a recording. We will be sending it out just so that you can see it and share it. If you have further feedback, again, please visit the Zendesk community where we review feedback on a daily basis and our product managers are active. And finally, thank you so much for being Zendesk customers and continuing to engage with us. We are entirely grateful and look forward to the next time we get to share space again. So have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you, team, and we'll talk soon.